Hey YouTube, it's Travis, the Pagan Scholar. Why am I wearing a Santa hat? I can actually already hear you saying that question in your head. Well, a couple of days ago, Marshall and I were watching The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I realized, it struck me, I don't know who Santa Claus is. Like, through history, through mythos, through folklore, I don't know where Santa Claus came from. That and I look like a fucking elf whenever I'm wearing this, and I really dig that. So that's why I'm wearing a Santa Claus hat. Full disclosure, I am not a folklore historian, so my research on this topic might be a little bit unorthodox, might be a bit shabby. Internet research. However, I do have a degree in philosophy, which means I know how to separate facts from bullshit and turn facts into bullshit. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get onto this deep, philosophical, urging, existential question. Who is that jolly old elf, Saint Nick? This video is also brought to you by Shiner Cheer. I mean, not through, like, they're not paying me. It's what I'm drinking, so 'tis the season. Alright, so this video is about Santa Claus. It's not about Christmas. It's not about the Roman festival of Saturnalia. It's not about the Christ child. It's not about anything like that. It's just about Santa Claus and how we have arrived at this mythic idea, this image that we have that permeates global cultures. So the first appearance, I guess, that we have of anything that's connected to contemporary Santa Claus is Saint Nicola. He was a 4th century bishop in Lycia, which was a part of the Byzantine Empire, current-day Turkey, and he was especially well known for his generosity to the poor. His big huzzah in sainthood is he gave 3 devout Christian daughters full dowries so they would not have to turn to prostitution. Good on you. Nice guy. And so thus with the spread of Catholicism and the canonization of saints and Saint Nicola, we arrive into Belgium and the Netherlands, and we have Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas? Oh my gosh, I love that name. Sorry, I think Scandinavian accents are really cute, so Sinterklaas. Anyways, so in Dutch, Scandinavian, Bulgarian folklore, Sinterklaas was the mythical figure who would appear dressed as a bishop on the eve of Saint Nicola's feast day, which was today, December 6th. But he would travel around and he would give gifts to children on December 5th. This is actually still practiced today, according to Wikipedia. And on December 5th, in the Netherlands and Belgium and certain places that celebrate Sinterklaas, children receive gifts, not adults. Adults will receive gifts on December 25th from Santa Claus, but not from Sinterklaas. He's just for the children. That's all that he brings gifts to. Now, all of this is very Catholic, and in the 16th century, with Henry VIII, with the Reformation, with moving away from Catholicism, England is no longer celebrating the canonized feast days of the saints. So what do? They come up with their own Father Christmas. That's right, Père Noël, Papa Gijo, whoever you think of when you think of Santa. It comes from England. However, I will say this, Father Christmas did not wear red. He actually wore green. I mean, there were certain depictions of him wearing red and green. However, Father Christmas typically wore a green robe. But it's really fucking hot under this. Alright, hold on. Fuck this. But if we want to fast forward to basically, I don't know, the beginning of the 20th century, we have a lot of people saying that Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus. Well, that's not true. Yes, Coca-Cola did adopt the contemporary version of Santa Claus because, their brand was red and white. However, there were other soda companies of all things, who adopted Santa Claus to be their brand, who wore red and white, and thus we have the image of Santa with a red hat and white trim. But that's getting way ahead of ourselves. Go back to England and to the Victorian era. The Victorians, they ruined a lot of things. They stifled a lot of fun. However, they really liked Father Christmas, and they thought that he was the embodiment of holiday cheer. Yes, in the 16th century, Father Christmas brought cakes and ale and cheese and wine, but the Victorians are like, no, let's keep this guy around. I guess it was the only fun that they were allowed to have. And we can see this in Charles Dickens' 1863? 64? Way off. Okay, 1843, A Christmas Carol. So the second ghost in The Christmas Carol, the Ghost of Christmas Present, is actually the embodiment of Father Christmas, because you know, Scrooge goes around town in the present with Father Christmas, with this ghost, and he spreads Christmas cheer. So if you look at older depictions of the Ghost of Christmas Present, he's usually depicted as a large, jolly man wearing green, which I am not wearing because it's too hot to do that. Anyways, so we've got the color down, and we've got a nationality, but what about this mythos? What about this idea that Santa has, like, 8 reindeer and is a jolly fat man and big belly and all this other stuff? And also, where does the name Santa Claus come from? Because Father Christmas and Saint Nicholas is kind of a stretch. Remember Sinterklaas? Well, in 1809, Washington Irving published A History of New York, and in that he adopted Sinterklaas to explain the traditions of Christmas, the fairy tale idea of Santa Claus. But Sinterklaas is it's kind of harsh on American ears, so it was Americanized into Santa Claus, which is not as cute as, you know, the Scandinavian Sinterklaas. But anyways, whatever. But all of the traditions and the really nitty gritty, like, this is Santa Claus, this is Santa. Anyways, but all of the ideas that we have about Santa Claus, now that we have his name, comes from the 1823 poem A Visit from St. Nicholas. Not Santa Claus, even though we already have his name. But that poem is more readily recognizable as A Night Before Christmas. I almost said nightmare. The night before Christmas. All through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Isn't it creepy how, like, almost anybody knows the first line of that children's story of the poem? That is how Santa became to be canonized, to go back to Catholicism, and how his mythos, all of these ideas about Santa, about being a jolly old elf, about being a big fat man with rosy cheeks and all this other stuff, it all came from that. And, I mean, we apparently loved it as a culture, and it's been repeated for nearly 200 years, and so when you adopt a story, a fairy tale, and you retell it every single year for 200 years, that's some heavy stuff. That's like, oh shit, this is scripture. So, so yeah, that's actually where we get Santa Claus. It starts out with Saint Nicholas, 4th century Byzantine Empire. Goes over to Belgium, goes over to England, goes across the pond into America, and then from America we have... who was next? Washington Irving, and then we have the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, The Night Before Christmas. So yeah, this is where Santa Claus comes from. However, I know I can hear you through the internet, through time and space, I can hear you. You want to know where Odin is? It's true. Odin, the god from Norse mythology, does have a lot of similarities with the contemporary idea of Santa Claus. Something really fun to point out is the fact that Odin's steed, and I'm going to get this name wrong, Sleipnir? Anyways, Odin's steed is an 8-legged horse, engendered by Loki and a mare. Anyways, yes, 8 legs on his horse, which he rides through the night sky during the wild hunt. And apparently, I mean, I didn't actually get a lot of details on my Norse research because I am not a Norse scholar. I'm sure Coco the Spooky Librarian can fill me in and correct me where I got all of this wrong. But apparently he would give gifts during the Wild Hunt. That's something that I read on the internet, so it must be true. However, you know, we've got riding through the night sky. Obviously, Santa Claus rides through the night sky. An 8-legged horse, 8 reindeer, and then, yeah, giving gifts to children, I guess. Sure, why not? Toss that in there. So, yes, Odin is potentially a pre-Christian precursor to the Christianizing of Saint Nicola into Santa Claus throughout time. However, also, I did want to throw in one other really interesting tidbit. The 8 reindeer, which I cannot name, Donner and Blitzen, were actually originally Dunder und Blixen, which is thunder and lightning in German. And you know who else was German? Well, had German ties and affiliations. Odin! That's right. So yeah, there's another interesting link. However, there is a flaw. There is a misconception in the reindeer mythos of all of those 8 reindeer. Reindeer shed their horns in the winter. Male reindeer shed their horns in like October, November-ish, you know, after they've mated. Female reindeer maintain their antlers, not their horns, but anyways, their antlers until after they've given birth. And this is kind of interesting because that means Santa's sled, which goes in December, all of those reindeer have horns. They have antlers, which means all 8 reindeer are actually female reindeer. So, regardless of whether you want to buy into the Santa Claus mythos, if you are Christian, if you are atheist, if you are celebrating Yuletide, if you are not, it's fine. I just thought it was really fun that, you know, as a culture, we maintain this myth, this folklore, and I was like, I have no clue where this comes from. If you have any, you know, particular ideas or facts that I've missed or overlooked, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to learn more about this mythical creature. Also, I would like to know if you think, like, who do you think Santa is or what he is? Do you think Santa is like an elf, a jolly old elf? Or is he like, you know, a wizard, a demon that trespasses into your home? And I don't know, I mean, leaving him sacrifices of gingerbread men? I mean, that's kind of creepy. Anyways, or is he a Time Lord? That is the question. I don't know. I don't know who Santa could be, but he's definitely an interesting story. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to me ramble through this. I just thought it would be fun to do for Vlogmas, and also I can't pass up an opportunity to wear a Santa hat. Love my ears. As always, thank you so much for watching, and merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.